The honey badger verse of the day today is Luke 10:39 through 42. Now Martha had a sister named Mary who'd sit at the Lord's feet and listen to what he had to say. And Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made and said to the Lord, "Oh Lord, does it not concern you that my sister has left me to do this work all by myself? Tell her to help me." And the Lord said, "Martha, Martha, you're worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen the better." And Martha had this trying harder mentality for God. She thought that, I got to do all these things. I got to serve people. And she missed out on spending time with Jesus. And there's 4 approaches to seeking God. The first one is the Martha approach, trying harder. We maybe read the Bible, trying to show ourselves spiritual, or we may try to be involved in all kinds of ministry, and we may get burned out. I call this the white knuckle view of serving God, or the self-will. The second one is gaining knowledge. This is a intellectual, and it is good to gain knowledge about God. It helps us to be able to love God more and also have a heart that pleases God. Acts 17:11 says, "Now the Bereans were a more noble character than Thessalonians, and every day they re-examined the scriptures to see if what Paul said was true." And they were commended for this. But when we allow our spirituality, our knowledge of God, to keep us from a relationship with God, it becomes a hindrance. When I was in college, there was a guy, every time you'd see him, he'd have headphones on. And one time I asked him, "What are you listening to?" He said, "Well, I have over 600 sermons on DVDs, and I listen to them. And I listen to at least an hour a sermon a day." And I said, "If I listen to that many sermons every day, it'd drive me nuts." And the guy ended up having a mental breakdown. Sometimes knowledge puffs up. Then there's a third view, and that's where we want to feel better. That's a spiritual high. That's where you go to a camp, Bible camp, and you come back pumped up, or you hear a great sermon, you're ready to fight. You start hearing that dent, 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 dent music where you're pumped up for God. And it's good to have those spiritual highs that give us motivation once in a while. But then there's a fourth way, and it's what's called the better. This is a Mary way. This is where we have a relationship with God and we get to know God. And what it does, it's the most important, is it connects us to God and also to people and to enjoy his presence. And Job 29:4 describes it best. "Oh, when I was in the days of my youth, when God's infinite friendship blessed my house." How can we spend time with God and be like Samuel and say, "Lord, speak, your servant is listening"? And when we read God's word, we're listening to God, we're enjoying God. When we serve, we see in those people we're serving Jesus and realize that he loves those people because we first love, because he first loved us. Let us enjoy the presence of God today.